This is part 13 of the series of tutorials for our Drive app. It's also the second one in stage 5. So, by the end of the last part, we attached or we gave an impact sound to all the different track parts that we have so far, and a script, and we tested it. And the testing was basically step 13. We played, we test, we heard the impact, and so on. So now it's time to make the track more complete. What we're going to do is we're going to duplicate one of the track parts, not the round pad. Our last one was the 6th one and was named number 5. This one should be the 7th one, but since it's really not going to be like a flat part, it's going to be a different kind of ramp. We're going to call it track part 7 ramp. Hold track. Here's our last track part. We're going to duplicate it again. It can stay in the same place it is, but as far as hierarchy, I'd rather put it last because it's our last part. Its name is going to be track part 7 ramp. I'm going to look at it from above, and we're going to give it the following numbers: 50, 102.4, and 80. 50, 104.2, and 80 as far as its position. Then look at the way we're going to, here it is. This is going to be the ramp. The way we're going to make it into a ramp is by giving it 11 degrees X rotation and also scaling it to 10 and 40. 10 on the X, 40 on the Y, and 11 degrees X. So if we look at it from the side, you can see that it becomes a ramp that can jump from the round pad. Let's see, it's 104.2 or 102.4? 102.4, that's what it looks off. 102.4. Yeah, now it looks perfect. So when I jump off of this ramp, land on this round part, go to this round part, now I got a new ramp to which is a little wider than just a regular track part to jump off of. But because it was a duplicate of a regular track part, it has all the things that a regular track part has, like the box collider, the impact script, and so on. Next, we're going to duplicate that ramp, and since we don't have names with parentheses, we're simply going to call it track part 8. So edit, duplicate, and its name is going to be track part 8. And this one, let me move the window to make it easier, is going to go back to X position 50, 100, 40, 50, nice round 100, and instead of 80, 40, because we're starting to make our way back. As far as rotation, it's going to have 0 degrees all around, and its scale is going to be 10 and 40, just like the other one. Or in other words, I'm making it slightly wider than a regular track part because that's where we're going to land. So I want to make it possible to jump over this ramp and land. If I look at it from above like this, it's going to jump off the ramp and land. If I look at it with perspective, it's going to look like this. This is where we start, go, jump, land on the ramp. Let me just see that I got all those parts correct, all those numbers correct. And yes, it's going to be the land after the ramp. After that, we're going to duplicate part 8, call it part 9, but here we're going to go back to normal proportions. So, edit, duplicate. Instead of 8, 1, we're going to call it 9. And the numbers we're going to use for Mr. Number 9 are 50, 100, and 10. It's going to be, it's not going to have any rotation, but its width is going to go from 10 to 5. In other words, the width of regular road, and its Z is going to be 20. So let's see if it falls into place. Yes, it does. It's the continuation of this part. If I look at it from above, jump from the ramp, land, and move it with a hand, and have another piece of straight road. And we're almost making our way back, and as you can guess, probably there's going to be a round pad now. So after part 9, duplicate one of your round pads, name it round pad 4, move it to be the last object, in the hierarchy, just to keep things in order. But let's see what parameters we're going to give it. My last round part was round part parentheses 2, so I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to move round pad 3 to be the last one in the hierarchy of the whole track, and give it the position 50, just like the one before. 99.7002, just like the one before. But look at what's going to change. -7 on the Z. All the other numbers stay the same. 15, 0.5, and 15. 15, 0.5, and 15. That should bring it exactly to where we need it to be, at this bottom corner. The next thing we're going to do is duplicate 9, call it 10. Duplicate, straight part 9, call it 10. Not the round pad, but the last track part. Duplicate 9 and call it track part 10. And here we're already going to start making our way back. But we're not going to hurry, as you will see. We're going to give part 10 38, 100, -5, -7, 38, 100, and -7. And in order for it to fit here, it's also going to have a rotation of 90 degrees Y. Which puts it exactly as the continuation of, it's like the last leg home. But before we close it, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a part 11, track part 10, duplicate, and call it E11. And notice what we're going to do with 11. 11 is not going to be the continuation of 10. It's going to be kind of like the part that closes the gap here. 11 is going to have 14.6, 100, and -7. 14.6, 100, and -7. And it's going to have 5, 0.4, and Z15. Let me see, yep, 14.6, 100, and -7, 5, and 15. Okay. So, not 20. But 15. Actually, I think if I go back here, this also needs to be 10. Yeah, that's part 10. It's Z needs to be 10. Let me make sure. Yeah, 10 and 15. 10 is 10, and 11 should be 15. So there's a gap between them. Going over those numbers. Yes, they are correct. Good. Finally, we're going to do our last round pad. I'm going to duplicate whatever's my last round pad, edit, duplicate, bring it to the end of the hierarchy just so, to keep it organized so they're still in order. And as far as its location, that round pad is going to be at 0. We're going back to, where we started as far as x. The height is still the right height. The z is still the right z. And that should put it exactly here. So we're basically done with our track, except for one thing, this little gap right here. This little gap. When I look at it from above, it looks like this. When I compare it to the screenshot, it should look exactly like this. From above, this is what it looks like. And from the side, it should look like this. If I press Option, look at it from the side, it looks like this. So what I have here is a gap. We're going to fill up this gap with a part that's hanging on a spring. How are we going to do that? We're going to use... Yes, for now there's a gap. Let's put some bumpy part in between. We're going to find the Stage 5 teacher's assets. We're going to find something called modular track bumpy straight, and we're going to drag it to be the next child of whole track. We're going to right-click and unpack this prefab. Modular track bumpy straight. It's right here. Modular track bumpy straight is going to be the next part in the whole track, but we're going to right-click prefab and unpack it because we want to edit things from it. We're going to unfold it, and we don't need the part called lane divider. See, there's like a lane divider here. If I get close to it, you can see that it's like a bumpy part, but it's got two like rails on the side, which I don't want. The way we're going to get rid of the rails is simply by flipping it upside down. On the bottom, it doesn't have any rails, so it's going to look, more dangerous. As far as numbers, where we're going to give it, give it the following transform, and this is going to be very exact because it's got to fit exactly into the gap. So I'm going to make it easier for myself to copy these numbers. 32.88299, 32.88299. I'm going to check myself. 32.88299, 100.2 as far as its height, 100.2, and negative 699, negative 6.99 as far as its z. It's going to have an x, and I'm going to explain why, of a little above 180 degrees, 182.445, 90 degrees rotation, so it fits into the direction, and then a scale of 0.5, 1, and 1.08. All those numbers, not 0, but 1.08. Let's see. If I didn't forget anything, what should happen is it should fit right into the gap. Here it is. Now, why this 182 and not 180? Here's the idea, that when we look at it from the side and we try to jump it, its own weight is going to push it down a little bit, when it's hung from a spring. So it's going to be flush with this. This is where we're coming from. But then when we get on it with a car, the weight of the car is going to push it down a little further more to make this part flush with the rest of the road. And this is why it's a little bit at an angle, an extra 2 degrees or 2.5 degrees. We want to make it look kind of nice. So it should, the next step says it should fit perfectly into the gap and look like this, and we're good. Give it a nice material. And it came with some, no-name material. I personally chose the, one of the metal materials, number 41, but of course that's my own personal taste. Mesh render materials, instead of no name, I'm going to use number 41. I like that. Was it 41, 44? Yeah, 41 looks good. But you can use any of them. There's some of them that actually have like holes in them that make it look more dangerous. It's totally up to you. Now, definitely it needs a collider, otherwise we're going to fall right through it. And because it's bumpy, we're going to check convex. If we don't, it's not going to reflect the bumpiness of it. So I'm going to select it, add component, mesh, collider, and check convex. So we did step number 29. We're going to add, and this is one of our last steps for this stage, we're going to add something called a spring joint, which we might have added, I think we did in a previous course. And when we add a spring joint, it also adds a rigid body. So we're going to take care of both. So add component spring joint, which also adds a rigid body. First, we're going to take care of the rigid body. The rigid body is not going to have too many changes except this. Look, it's mass 0, 1, and 0.05. This stays the same. The first 3 check boxes checked. The last one is not checked. It does have gravity. I want it to kind of be pushed by gravity down a little bit. Interpolate none, collision discrete, but as far as constraints, we're going to freeze its X position so it doesn't move sideways. And we're going to freeze its rotation, otherwise it might flip. We want it to basically move only on the Y and Z. It can move up, down, and it can move basically forward and backwards in that little gap that it has, and that will give it, enough bumpiness. Then, for the spring joint itself, to the spring joint itself, we're going to give these exact parameters. Let me have them side by side. So this is the rigid body. I hope I remember to put everything. And the spring joint is going to have none and none. That's good. It says uncheck automatic connected anchor. Auto configure connected anchor, uncheck. That way I can type my own numbers, which are going to be anchor 2.6 on the Y. Anchor is basically what is hung from. And 0, 2.6, and 0 for the anchor. For the connected anchor, in other words, what it's supposedly hanging from, 32.77205. And again, if you're wondering how do you get those numbers, experimenting. And if you want to, you could definitely change those. Y97.5. In other words, it's hung from like an invisible, anchor way, way, way above it. And way above the ocean floor. And negative 6.99, which, if you remember, also corresponds to its Z position. Then, as far as spring, instead of 10, we're going to put 6,000. Why? Because it's really going to support a very heavy car, so we need a strong spring. For the same reason, we're going to put a damper of 100. This is not, like a rubber band. This is like a piece of like a springy, bridge. 0.0 instead of 0.025 for the tolerance. We're going to make it 0.25. It's less tolerant. It's more rigid. We're definitely going to enable collision. with it. So the two checkboxes are checked, mass scale 1 and connected scale 1. Now we have a complete track. Try to complete a round. Now, before we do that, when I look at it from the side, when I play, it should kind of settle into place with its own weight. If I look at it from the side, you can see that it's now flush with the last track piece. Now, to actually test it, here's the thing. If I'm really good, I can drive the car, which is right here, and drive it all around and, try to go over the bumpy part. Some of you might say, hey, you could just go this way, but this way I got that step that I cannot, it's on purpose. I want to make sure that this is the only direction that a car can go. So, in order for me to make it easier to test, what I'm going to do is follow the advice here. To make it easy to test the bumpy spring, temporarily set the transform of player to 50, 100, and negative 101 and negative 7. So player is going to be 50, 101, and negative 7. Notice where it puts it on the last round pad before crossing, but it's facing kind of backwards or to the last corner, which is why we're also going to give it a rotation y of negative 90. So now I'm facing the bumpy part. Now I can test the bumpy part. If I play, it's like, I'm cheating. I'm like, I'm 3/4 of the way there already just to test the bumpy part. And here is, it's not as easy as it looks. It seems like it's easy, but I fell. Let's try again. Playing this game many, many times, it's a combination of going not too fast, not too slow. If I'm going, oh, let me just, speed right through it. In this case, it worked. But that's the idea of testing it. If I am happy with a bumpy part, that it's not too easy, not too hard, try playing going over the bumpy part. Feel free to adjust the bumpy spring or any part of the track if it's too hard or too easy. And when done, we're going to not forget to set the player back to 0, 101, and 3. 3 because we're going to be building like a gate in front of it, so we're moving it 3 meters back. So 50, 101, and 3 meters, and get rid of the it's actually not going to be 50, it's going to be 0. Here it is. And here we are back where we started right before the first ramp. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, 0, 101, 3, no rotation, and scale 111. This is basically the end of stage 5. Just like before, if we have access to a Quest device, this will be a good time to build, not forgetting to set the build scene file, build profiles, open scene list, and make sure that if we build to a Quest, we're building stage 5. And as far as submitting your lab, just like before, if you have access to a Quest device, you shoot a short video that shows everything from previous stages, plus the things we added in this stage. The car sound, I need to hear the sound, volume and pitch, tied or relative to the speed, and impact sound when the car hits a track, when it jumps, and I need to see the complete track plus the bumpy springy part, just so I see that it's there. If you don't have access to Quest, you're going to do a screen capture of the Unity project playing on your computer. Just make sure all of the above in Unity. Let me just add plus sound. In any case, you're going to upload your video with, your name, your last name, drive stage 5, and upload by the due date. I will see you in the next stage, will be stage number 6.